The lights inside the grand chamber of the Galactic Council were always too bright. They hummed with a low, buzzing noise that irritated the inner ears of every species present, except perhaps for the Xyloph delegates, who lacked ears entirely. The chamber was a massive circle of floating platforms. On one side sat the representatives of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. They had conquered the stars thousands of years ago. They had mapped every nebula, categorized every viable planet, and established the laws of peace. On the other side of the circle, there was an empty chair. It was the chair assigned to the newest species to achieve space travel. Humans. Today, the mood in the chamber was not just bored or bureaucratic. It was angry. High Speaker Eris, a tall, bird-like creature from the Airy Dominion, clicked his beak sharply. The sound echoed through the hall, silencing the low muttering of the other delegates. Eris smoothed the feathers on his chest and looked down at the central holographic table. The table displayed a map of the Orion arm. Red dots representing human ships were spreading outward like a virus, pushing into the green zones that belonged to the Council. "This has gone on long enough," Eris squawked, his voice translated instantly into a dozen languages by the universal translator. "We have offered them everything. We have offered them technology. We have offered them protection. We have offered them a seat at this table. And what do? They ignore us." A reptilian Vorg, sitting on a platform to the left, slammed his heavy tail onto the metal floor. "They insult us, High Speaker. The Vorg Empire demands action. The humans are colonizing Sector 7. That sector is a protected preserve. The resources there belong to the Council, not to a pack of primitive apes." Eris nodded. He raised a wing to quiet the room. "We do not use such crude terms here, Counselor Zark. But your point is valid. The humans act like children. They are stubborn. They refuse to see that we are trying to help them ascend. We cannot let a single species disrupt the harmony of the galaxy. For the past 5 years, the Council had tried to make peace with Earth. They had sent sleek silver ships filled with diplomats. They had sent data packets containing the secrets to faster-than-light travel, cures for diseases, and blueprints for clean energy. Every time, the humans had refused the transmission. Every time, the human ships had turned their backs and flew away. The Council did not understand why. Why would a species say no to peace? Why would they say no to advancement? Eris looked at the empty chair again. "We send the final ultimatum today. If they do not accept the peace overture by the next cycle, we will have no choice but to blockade their systems. We will do it for their own good. They are a danger to themselves." Far away from the Grand Chamber, in the cold vacuum of space near the edge of the contested sector, sat the UES Defender. It was not a sleek ship like the ones the Council used. It was ugly. It was a blocky mass of dark metal, covered in sensor arrays and weapons ports. It looked like a chunk of asteroid that had been welded together and given engines. Inside the bridge, the air was cool and smelled of recycled oxygen and coffee. Captain Noah stood in front of the main viewport, watching the stars streak by. He was a tall man with graying hair and a face that had seen too much stress. He wore a simple black uniform. He was not thinking about galactic harmony or the preservation of resources. He was thinking about his family back on Earth, and how much he wanted to go home. "Captain," a voice said over the intercom. "We are receiving a transmission from the Council station. It is marked high priority." Noah sighed. He rubbed his eyes. "Put it on the main screen, Lieutenant." The view of the stars flickered and was replaced by the face of an alien. Noah had seen this species before. They were the Airy. The alien on the screen looked down at Noah with an expression of pity and superiority. "Humans of the vessel Defender," the alien began. "I am High Speaker Eris. This is your final notification. The Galactic Council has prepared the Treaty of Integration. This treaty guarantees your species safety, medical aid, and access to the galactic market. All we ask is that you cease your expansion into restricted zones and dismantle your heavy weapon platforms. It is a generous offer. It is the path to peace. You have until the end of this cycle to sign." Noah listened. He kept his face blank. He did not feel angry. He just felt tired. He had heard the same speech a dozen times. The aliens talked about peace, but what they meant was control. They wanted humanity to sit down and be quiet. They wanted to turn Earth into a vacation spot for wealthy aliens and turn humans into servants who mined asteroids for the Council. The alien waited for a response. Noah looked over at his first officer, Lieutenant J. J was a younger man, sitting at the tactical station. J shook his head slightly. He didn't need to say a word. Noah knew that the crew would not surrender. The people of Earth had fought too hard to get to the stars to give them up now just because some birds with spaceships told them to. Noah looked back at the screen. "High Speaker Eris," Noah said. His voice was calm. "Yes," Captain Eris replied, looking hopeful. "Are you ready to accept our guidance?" "No," Noah said simply. Eris blinked. The feathers on his head twitched. "Excuse me, you do not understand the situation. If you refuse, the Council will be forced to take action. We will blockade your sun. We will stop your trade. Your economy will collapse. We don't want your guidance," Noah said. "We don't want your market. We don't want your peace. We want to be left alone." "That is impossible," Eris screeched, his composure slipping. "You cannot exist in this galaxy alone. You are like a child playing with fire. If you do not join us, you are a threat to stability." "Then I guess we are a threat," Noah said. "Do not approach our border again. Any Council ship that enters the Earth's claimed space will be treated as an invader. We have warned you. You are making a terrible mistake, human," Eris hissed. "You are spurning the only chance you have for survival." "We will take our chances," Noah said. He reached forward and tapped a button on his console. "End transmission." The screen went black, returning to the view of the stars. On the bridge of the Defender, the crew went back to work. Nobody panicked. They knew this was coming. They had been preparing for this moment for a long time. They knew that the galaxy was a dangerous place, filled with empires that wanted to crush anything that was different. At the tactical station, Lieutenant J typed a command into his console. "Message sent to High Command, Captain. They know what to do." "Good," Noah said. "Red alert. Power up the railguns. If they want a fight, they're going to get one." Back in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere changed from annoyance to shock. High Speaker Eris stood frozen on his platform, staring at the blank screen where the human captain had just been. The silence in the room was heavy. The other delegates looked at each other with confusion. "He refused," Counselor Zark asked, his tongue flicking out in disbelief. "He actually refused." "He threatened us," Eris said, his voice trembling slightly. "He told us not to approach their border. He spoke to us as if we were the inferior ones." "This is madness," a delegate from the Xyloph Hive chattered. "Why would they choose destruction over order? Do they have a death wish?" "They are illogical," Eris said, recovering some of his dignity. He puffed out his chest. They are dangerous barbarians. We have tried to be kind. We have tried to be patient. But you cannot reason with a beast that bites the hand that feeds it. Eris looked around the circle of delegates. I call for a vote. Article 5 of the Galactic Law. A species that refuses peace and threatens the stability of the Council is an enemy of the galaxy. We must authorize a peacekeeping action. We will send a fleet to their borders. We will show them the error of their ways. We will disarm them, by force if necessary. I second the motion, Zark rumbled. We will crush their little fleet and drag them to the negotiating table in chains. No chains, Eris corrected. We are civilized. We will liberate them from their own stupidity. But we must act now. If we let them think they can speak to us like that, other species might get ideas. The vote was fast. It was unanimous. The Galactic Council, which had existed for 10,000 years without a major war, had just decided to put a new species in its place. They thought it would be easy. They thought the humans would surrender as soon as they saw the size of the Council fleet. They did not know Noah, and they did not know humanity. They thought peace was the absence of conflict. They did not understand that for humans, peace was something worth fighting for. The order was sent out. The lights on the docking bays of the Eri, Vorg, and Xyla fleets turned from green to red. The engines of thousands of warships roared to life. They pointed toward the edge of human space, thinking they were going on a simple police mission to arrest some unruly children. In the dark bridge of the UES Defender, Noah watched the radar. He saw the red dots appearing on the edge of the sensor range. He knew they were coming. Steady, Noah said to his crew. Let them come close. Let them think they have the advantage. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. The age of peace was over. The age of turmoil had begun, and humanity stood right at the center of it, standing tall, refusing to bow. Taskmaster Xylos sat in the command chair of the Vorg Hammer, a massive ship that looked like a green spear with engines. He was a reptilian creature, with tough skin that looked like armor plates and yellow eyes that could see in the dark. He felt confident. He felt powerful. His ship was one of the best in the galaxy. Around his ship were 20 other ships from the Council. They were fast, sleek, and armed with powerful plasma weapons. They were not there to start a war. They were there to keep the peace. Xylos looked at the main screen. In front of him was a gas giant, a large planet made of swirling colors. Near the planet were small rocks and asteroids. This was Sector 7. The Council had labeled it a protected zone. But now, there were human ships there. They were ugly, bulky ships, drilling into the asteroids to pull out minerals. The humans are mining the protected asteroids, Xylos hissed. His tail tapped the floor in annoyance. They have no respect for the law. Next to him, his second in command, a smaller Vorg named Ses, checked the readings. Taskmaster, the human ships are small. They are not military ships. They are mining vessels. They have no shields. Their weapons are weak mining lasers. Xylos laughed. It was a dry, rasping sound. Of course. The humans are like insects. They dig in the dirt because they do not know better. The Council was right. We just need to show them our strength. If we scare them, they will run away. Xylos stood up. He wanted to look strong for his crew. Open a channel to the human ships, he ordered. Tell them that this is a restricted zone. Tell them that if they do not leave in 10 minutes, we will fire upon them. On the screen, the image of the gas giant changed. A face appeared. It was a human male. He looked old, with a gray beard and skin that looked tough like leather. He wore a dirty hat and a shirt with oil stains. This was Captain Liam. Liam looked at the screen. He saw the large Vorg ship. He saw the alien with the yellow eyes staring at him. Liam did not look scared. He looked annoyed. It was the look of a man who was interrupted while he was eating his lunch. "I am Taskmaster Xylos of the Vorg Empire," the alien said. "You are violating Council law. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. We will confiscate your ship." Liam chewed on a piece of gum and blew a bubble. It popped loudly. "Listen here, lizard," Liam said. "We found this rock first. It's not in your space. It's in ours. We're not going anywhere." Xylos was shocked. "Insolence. You are foolish, human. You are outgunned. I have 20 ships. You have 3. Surrender now, and we will let you live as prisoners." Liam spat on the floor of his bridge. "We don't surrender," Liam said. "You want this rock? Come and take it." The screen went black. Xylos stared at it. He could not believe it. A simple miner had just talked back to a Vorg taskmaster. Xylos felt anger rise in his chest. He was a soldier. He fought battles against great enemies. He would not be insulted by a miner. "They refused to listen to reason," Xylos said to Ses. "Fine. We will not destroy them. We will teach them a lesson. Fire warning shots. Target their engines. Disable them. Do not destroy the ships. We want to take them to the council." "Yes, Taskmaster," Ses said. The Vorg hammer shook slightly as it fired its main guns. Red beams of plasma shot across the void of space. They missed the human ships on purpose, passing just a few feet in front of them. The beams were bright and hot. They were meant to scare. Xylos watched, waiting for the human ships to stop. He waited for them to send a message saying they were sorry. But the human ships did not stop. Instead, the mining ships began to move. They did not fly away in fear. They flew toward the Vorg fleet. "What are they doing?" Ses asked. "Do they have a death wish?" Liam's voice came over the open channel again, but this time he was shouting. "All ships. Lock onto those green boats. Turn the mining drills to maximum. Let us show them what we can do with the rock." The bulky human ships spun around. They were not fast, but they were heavy. They pointed their mining drills, which were giant spinning saws made of diamond-tipped steel, directly at the Vorg ships. The mining ships fired their engines at full power, burning their fuel in a desperate burst of speed. Xylos watched in confusion. They are attacking with mining equipment fire at will. Destroy their engines. The Vorg ships fired again. This time, they hit the human ships. One of the mining ships took a direct hit to its side. The metal melted, and fire exploded in the vacuum. But the ship did not explode completely. It kept flying. It was damaged, but it was still moving. It was heading straight for a Vorg scout ship. "Get out of the way!" Ses screamed at the screen. The human ship, captained by Liam, rammed into the Vorg scout ship. The sound of the impact was silent in space, but the visuals were terrifying. The diamond-tipped drill tore through the Vorg ship's shields like paper. It crunched through the metal hull. The Vorg ship split in half. Debris flew everywhere. Liam's ship was stuck in the wreckage, spinning out of control, but it had taken the enemy down with it. Xylos stood frozen. Madness, he whispered. They are mad. The other two human ships were doing the same thing. They were using suicide tactics. They were not trying to win a fair fight, they were trying to cause as much damage as possible. They launched small probes that were actually filled with explosives. The probes flew into the Vorg formation and blew up, damaging the shields of the larger ships. Taskmaster, our shields are dropping. Ses yelled. They are using kinetic weapons. They are throwing rocks at us. Xylos realized he had made a mistake. He thought the humans were weak. He thought they were primitive. But they were something else. They were desperate. They were willing to die to hurt their enemy. This was not how civilized species fought. The Council fought for honor and politics. Humans fought to survive. We cannot win this fight without losing half our fleet, Xylos said. And for what? For some rocks. Just then, a new alarm sounded on the bridge. It was a proximity alarm. Taskmaster. Something is jumping out of hyperspace. Ses shouted. It is a huge energy signature. A tier in space opened up near the gas giant. A blue portal swirled open, and out came a ship that made the Vorg hammer look small. It was the UES Defender. It was dark and angular, bristling with guns. It looked like a predator that had just found its prey. Captain Noah appeared on the main screen. He looked calm. He looked at Xylos. This is Captain Noah of the United Earthship Defender, Noah said. His voice was cold. You attacked our mining vessels. You have violated our space. Stand down immediately, or we will destroy you. Xylos looked at the tactical map. The Defender was charging its weapons. Xylos knew his fleet was tired. His shields were low from the mining ships. He could not fight a battleship. This is not over, human, Xylos spat. The Council will hear of this. You are monsters. We are just humans, Noah said. Get out. Xylos hesitated for a second longer. His pride hurt. But he was not a fool. He ordered his fleet to retreat. The Vorg ships turned and fled toward the safety of Council space. On the bridge of the Defender, Lieutenant J watched the green dots disappear from the radar. He let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. They are running, Captain, J said. Good, Noah said. Send a medical shuttle to help Captain Liam. I want survivors picked up. Noah looked out at the stars. The Council had sent a peacekeeping force, and the humans had turned it into a battle. Noah knew the Council would not let this go. They would call it an attack on law and order. They would use this as an excuse to send a bigger fleet. Warn High Command, Noah said to Jay. Tell them the gloves are coming off. The Council is going to try to crush us. We need to be ready. Jay nodded and began typing. The galaxy was a big place, but right now, it felt very small. The humans had shown the Council that they would not be pushed around. They had bled, and they had made the enemy bleed. There would be no peace treaties signed today. There was only the cold, hard truth: humanity would fight for every inch of space they claimed. The peace overtures were dead. The war had truly begun. The dust from the battle in Sector 7 had not yet settled when the message arrived. The Galactic Council did not want to admit defeat, so they called it a tactical error. They claimed the Taskmaster acted without orders. They blamed the Vorg for being too aggressive. But in the back of their minds, every member of the Council was afraid. They had seen the readouts from the battle. They had seen how a few mining ships had destroyed a Vorg scout vessel. They had seen how the human battleship, the UES defender, had chased them away without taking a single hit. High Speaker Eris knew they had to try one last time. They had to understand these creatures before the situation got out of hand. He arranged for a meeting. It would take place on a small, neutral moon. It was a place with no weapons, no armies, and only a table and 2 chairs. It was the holiest site in the galaxy, used for thousands of years to end wars. Eris prepared himself carefully. He chose the finest robes. He practiced his speeches. He believed that the humans were just confused. He thought they did not understand what the council was offering. He decided he would be patient. He would explain the benefits of membership again. He would use logic. On the other side of the galaxy, Ambassador Lucas was getting ready. Lucas was not a soldier. He was a young man with kind eyes and glasses. He looked like a teacher or a librarian. He wore a simple, gray suit that was slightly too big for him. He packed a small bag. He did not take a weapon. He did not take a bodyguard. He just took a notebook and a pen. "You know what they are going to say, right?" asked Noah, who had come to see Lucas off at the spaceport. "Yes," Lucas said, adjusting his glasses. "They are going to tell us that we are stupid. They are going to offer us money. They are going to tell us to sit down and behave." "And what are you going to tell them?" Noah asked. Lucas smiled a small, sad smile. "I am going to tell them the truth." Lucas traveled alone in a small shuttle. When he landed on the neutral moon, the air was thin and cold. The ground was made of white stone. In the center of a valley stood a single table made of crystal. Sitting at the table was High Speaker Eris. He looked majestic. Behind him, floating in the air, were holographic recorders from every major news station in the galaxy. The whole universe was watching. Lucas walked up the hill. He was short compared to the tall bird-like alien. He sat down on the metal chair opposite Eris. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The wind blew dust across the white ground. Finally, Eris spoke. His voice was smooth and sounded like music. "Welcome, human. I am glad you came. I am glad you chose to talk instead of fight. The violence in Sector 7 was a tragedy. We do not want more violence. We want to offer you a way to end this conflict today." Lucas nodded. He opened his notebook and clicked his pen. "I am listening." Eris spread his wings wide, gesturing to the sky. "Look at the galaxy, human. It is vast. It is full of wonders. The Council has brought peace to thousands of stars. We have ended disease. We have ended hunger. We have a network of trade that brings wealth to everyone. We invite you to join this network. If you sign the treaty, Earth will become a member. We will give you technology to fix your climate. We will give you medicine to make your people live longer. We will protect you from pirates and dangers. All you have to do is stop expanding into our zones. And you must allow us to inspect your ships to make sure you are safe." Eris leaned forward. His eyes were intense. "It is a generous offer. Think of your children, Lucas. Think of the future generations of humans. They could live in paradise. Why do you resist? Why do you choose the hard path? Is it pride? Do you think you are better than us?" Lucas looked down at his notebook. He wrote a few words. Then he looked up. His face was calm. "High Speaker Eris," Lucas began. "You speak of paradise. You speak of a future without hunger. But I have read your history files. I know how the Council works." Eris tilted his head. "What do you mean?" You say we will be members, Lucas said. But if we sign this treaty, we will not be partners. We will be pets. You want us to stop expanding because you are afraid of us. You want to inspect our ships to make sure we never build anything that scares you. You offer to fix our climate, but I bet your corporations want to own the water and the air on Earth afterwards. Eris stiffened. Those are details. We are talking about the greater good. You are talking about control, Lucas said softly. You want us to be safe. But safety is not the most important thing to us. Eris laughed. It was a sharp, mocking sound. Not important. Every species wants to be safe. It is the first rule of life. Survival. Lucas shook his head. We want to survive, yes. But we want to survive as ourselves. If we join your council, we will have to follow your rules. We will have to think like you. We will have to become soft. We will lose our fire. You call it fire, Eris said, his voice rising. We call it chaos. Look at what happened in Sector 7. Your miners rammed their ships into ours. That is not honorable. That is madness. If you join us, you will learn to be civilized. You will learn that disputes are solved by talking, not by dying. Lucas closed his notebook. He put his pen in his pocket. A long time ago, my ancestors lived in caves. They were small and weak. There were bigger animals that wanted to eat them. They could have stayed in the caves. It was safe there. But if they stayed, they would never have seen the sun. They would never have built cities. They went outside. They fought the animals. They froze in the winter. They starved in the summer. But they kept going. Because the freedom to choose their own path was worth more than their safety. Eris stared at Lucas. He did not understand. You are comparing the Galactic Council to wild animals. I am saying that we do not want to be kept in a cage, even if the cage is made of gold, Lucas said. We don't want your technology if it comes with chains. We don't want your medicine if we have to thank you for it every day. We want to struggle. We want to make our own mistakes. We want to fix our own climate. If we fail, we fail. But if we succeed on our own terms. Eris stood up. He was angry now. He realized that his words were not working. The human was not listening to logic. You are fools, Eris said coldly. You are rejecting a paradise because you want to. What feel proud do you think the galaxy cares about your pride? There are things out there, human. Things in the dark that you cannot imagine. If you are not part of the council, you will be alone when they come. We are used to being alone, Lucas said. He stood up as well. He looked the giant bird in the eye. We have been fighting on this planet since we could walk. We know there are monsters in the dark. We are not afraid of the dark. We are not afraid of you. Eris pointed a feathered finger at Lucas. If you leave this table without signing, there will be no more talking. The council will vote for total war. We will send a fleet that will darken the sky of your planet. We will destroy your cities. We will break your armies. We will force you to surrender. Millions will die. Is that what you want? Is your pride worth the lives of your children? Lucas looked at the holographic cameras. He knew the whole galaxy was watching. He knew that Earth was watching. He thought of Captain Noah on the Defender. He thought of Captain Liam ramming his mining ship into the enemy. He thought of the farmers, the builders, and the dreamers on Earth. We do not want war, Lucas said clearly. But we will not surrender. You think we are fighting because we want something from you. We are not. We are fighting because you are trying to take something from us. You are trying to take our right to struggle. You are trying to take our right to be free. Lucas picked up his bag. You can kill us, Eris. You can bomb our cities. But you will never conquer us. Because as long as one human is left alive, they will be free. And they will fight you. Lucas turned his back on the high speaker. He walked down the hill toward his shuttle. He did not look back. Eris stood alone at the table. The silence in the valley was heavy. The holographic cameras zoomed in on the high speaker's face. Eris looked shaken. He had expected threats. He had expected demands for money. He had not expected this. The humans did not want to rule the galaxy. They just wanted to be left alone to die on their own terms. It made no sense to him. It was illogical. It was terrifying. Eris turned to the cameras. The human has left, Eris announced. He has rejected peace. He has rejected the light. The council has no choice. We must put down this madness before it spreads. On his shuttle, Lucas strapped himself into his seat. He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. He was terrified. He knew that by walking away, he had signed the death warrant for millions of people. But he also knew that he had spoken the truth. He hoped that Earth was strong enough to survive the storm that was coming. He looked out the window as the blue sky of the moon turned to the black of space. He whispered a quiet goodbye to the peace they could have had, and prepared himself for the hell that was coming next. The silence on the moon did not last long. As soon as Lucas's shuttle entered the atmosphere of Earth, the sensors on the Mars defense grid began to scream. High Speaker Eris had been true to his word. The Council did not wait. They did not give humanity time to breathe. From the depths of dark space, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history dropped out of hyperspeed. There were thousands of ships. They came in every shape and size. There were the sleek silver ships of the Aerie, the heavy green ironclads of the Vorg, and the swarm-like black ships of the Xylov. They filled the sky around the blue planet of Earth. It was a beautiful sight, like a cloud of glitter, but it brought death. They called themselves the Peacekeepers. Their goal was simple: force the humans to surrender, disarm them, and destroy their ability to make war. Commander Mark stood in the central bunker on Mars. He was a tired man with thinning hair and a uniform that was stained with coffee. He watched the main tactical screen. It showed a 3D map of the solar system. Red dots were pouring in from every direction. "This is it," Mark said to his officers. "They are here to break us." "Sir, the Aerie flagship is hailing us," a communications officer said. "They are demanding our surrender. They say if we lower our shields, they will not bomb the cities." Mark looked at the message. He thought of his family living in a small town in what used to be called Canada. He thought of the billions of people on Earth who were looking up at the sky right now, afraid. If he surrendered, they might live. But they would be slaves. They would lose everything that made them human. Mark pressed a button. "Tell them to go to hell." Mark turned to his tactical board. "Activate the defenses. Let's show them what humanity built when no one was watching." For years, the aliens had laughed at human ships. They called them clunky. They called them primitive. They were right, in a way. Human ships were not elegant. They did not shimmer with energy shields. They were thick blocks of metal, covered in armor plates and brute force engines. But the aliens did not know about the weapons. The Council fleet moved toward the Earth's moon, which they called Luna. They expected the humans to hide behind their planet. Instead, the moon exploded. It was not a natural explosion. The humans had turned the moon into a fortress. Massive rail guns, hundreds of meters long, rose from hidden craters on the dark side of the moon. They fired giant tungsten rods at the alien fleet. These rods were not explosive, but they moved so fast that the impact was like a nuclear bomb. The front line of the Council fleet vanished. Beautiful silver ships crumbled like paper under the kinetic bombardment. There were no laser beams, no energy shields fighting each other. Just pure, hard physics. Metal hitting metal at impossible speeds. Taskmaster Xylos, now commanding a small squadron in the rear, watched in horror. They are using asteroids as weapons. He shouted. They are cheating. On Earth, the fighting was even stranger. The Council sent landing craft to the surface. They wanted to capture the cities and force the government to sign the treaty. They landed in the fields, in the oceans, and near the ruins of the old cities. They expected to meet human soldiers with tanks and guns. Instead, they met everyone. In a small farming town in the American Midwest, a woman named Anna was in her backyard. She was a grandmother. She was wearing a flower-patterned dress and big rubber boots. She was tending to her vegetable garden when a Vorg landing ship smashed into her field. The ramp opened, and 4 reptilian soldiers marched out, holding plasma rifles. Anna did not scream. She did not run. She calmly picked up her shovel. Then, she walked to her shed and pulled out a double-barreled shotgun. Her husband had taught her how to shoot when she was a little girl. "Get off my lawn," Anna said. The Vorg soldiers laughed. They aimed their fancy energy weapons at the old woman. But before they could fire, the windows of the houses next door opened. Other farmers came out. They were armed with hunting rifles, old pistols, and even baseball bats. A teenager on a roof threw a Molotov cocktail. It landed near the alien ship and burst into flames. The aliens were confused. Their tactical computers said, "Civilian, non-threat." But the civilians were shooting back. They were hiding in ditches. They were shooting from behind barns. They fought with the dirty, stubborn spirit that humanity was famous for. The Vorg soldiers, who were used to fighting orderly battles in open fields, were massacred by angry farmers protecting their homes. In the cities, it was the same. Office workers smashed windows to drop heavy copy machines on enemy troops. Construction workers used their cranes to flip over alien tanks. The entire human race had turned into an army. Every man, woman, and child was a soldier. Up in space, Commander Mark watched the chaos. The Council fleet was in disarray. They could not understand this style of war. The Council had rules. They did not shoot civilians. They did not use suicide tactics. Humans did all of that. "Sir, the enemy is trying to regroup at Jupiter," an officer said. "They are launching their heavy cruisers." Mark looked at the map. The humans were losing ships, too. For every alien ship destroyed, 2 human ships were blown apart. The UES Defender was out there, leading the charge, but it was taking heavy damage. Captain Noah was pushing his ship too hard, fighting like a demon. "They have more numbers," Mark said. "But we have more heart. Send the reserve fleet. Send the old ships. The ones we didn't think were space-worthy anymore. The Ghost Fleet, sir, but those ships are just shells. They are full of explosives." "Yes," Mark said. "Fill them with volunteers. Tell them to fly right into the enemy formation. We have to break their line. In the deep darkness near Jupiter, Captain Noah saw the reserve fleet approaching. They were old cargo ships and rusted cruisers. They were moving fast. They were not firing their guns. They were just accelerating. On the bridge of the UES Defender, Lieutenant J watched the radar. They are on a collision course, Captain. They are going to ram the Vorg command ships. Noah nodded. He felt a lump in his throat. I know. Let them go. The Ghost fleet slammed into the Council's main lines. It was a chain reaction of explosions. The fireball was so bright it lit up the dark clouds of Jupiter. The shockwave destroyed the shields of the Council's heavy cruisers. The disciplined formation of the aliens broke. They panicked. They scattered. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council was losing. They were not losing to a stronger army. They were losing to an enemy that refused to stay down. They were fighting ghosts and farmers. They were fighting a species that seemed to enjoy the struggle. On Earth, Anna sat on her porch steps, smoking a cigarette. The burning Vorg ship was smoking in her field, ruining her corn. The police would be here soon, and the army. But for now, it was quiet. She looked at the sky, where the flashes of battle could be seen even during the day. You came to the wrong house, she whispered. The siege of Terra continued for 3 days and 3 nights. The humans did not sleep. The humans did not eat. They just fought. And slowly, painfully, the mighty Council fleet began to pull back. They could not conquer the solar system. The gravity well of Earth was a death trap. The humans were defending their home with a ferocity that terrified the aliens. The Council had the weapons to destroy the planet, but that was not their mission. They wanted to capture Earth, not turn it into dust. And because they tried to be gentle, humanity bit them. As the sun rose on the 4th day, the alien ships began to retreat toward the edge of the system. They left behind wreckage and bodies. They left behind a story that would be told in the halls of the Council forever. They left knowing that they had awakened a giant. The humans were not just primitive. They were dangerous. They were free. And they would never, ever surrender. The battle for the Sol system was over, but the smoke still drifted in the cold vacuum of space. The mighty fleet of the Galactic Council, once a shining wall of silver and green, was now a broken mess. Only half of the ships managed to escape. They limped away from Earth, their engines sputtering and their hulls scorched. They did not leave as victors. They left as survivors, running away from the blue planet that had refused to die. Inside the grand chamber of the Galactic Council on the station of Ethelgard, the silence was deafening. Usually, the hall was filled with the sounds of arguments and debates. Today, nobody spoke. The holographic map in the center of the room showed the reality of the situation. The red zone of human space was still there. It had not shrunk. In fact, it had grown. High Speaker Era sat on his floating platform. He looked old now. His feathers were dull, and his back was slumped. The other delegates refused to look at him. They were looking at the floor, or at their data pads. The Vorg representative, Zark, was tapping his claws nervously on the metal. The humiliation was total. They had gathered the largest fleet in history to teach a lesson to a primitive species, and that primitive species had bitten them and sent them home crying. We must discuss the terms of the ceasefire, Zark finally said, his voice quiet. There are no terms, Era said wearily. They offered us terms when we were at their door. We refused. Now, we are the ones asking for peace. Eris signaled to the communications officer. Open a channel to the human command ship. The UES Defender. The main screen flickered to life. It showed the bridge of the Defender. It was dimly lit, and sparks were falling from a broken panel in the ceiling. The hull of the ship was scarred and blackened, but it was still intact. Standing in the center was Admiral Noah. He had a bandage on his forehead and his uniform was dirty, but he stood straight and tall. His eyes were calm. "This is High Speaker Eris," Eris began. His voice lacked the superiority it once had. "The hostilities have ceased. Our forces are withdrawing from your systems. We recognize that we cannot force your submission." The aliens in the room held their breath. They waited for Noah to gloat. They waited for him to demand their apologies, or their money, or their territory. Noah looked at Eris. "I hear you, High Speaker. We have tracked your retreat. As long as your ships stay on your side of the line, we will not fire on you. The war is over for us." Eris shifted his weight. He could not understand why this felt like a defeat, when he was the one asking for safety. Why? Eris asked suddenly. Why was it worth it? Look at your planet. Look at your ships. You have lost so much. You have no resources left. Your economy is in ruins. We offered you everything. We offered you a galaxy of wealth. You chose poverty and death instead. Was it worth it? The question hung in the air. Every alien in the room wanted to know the answer. They were species that valued comfort, long life, and safety above all else. To them, the human choice was insanity. Noah looked past Eris, as if he was looking through the screen at the earth below. He thought of the ruined cities. He thought of his friends who had died in the mining ships and on the defense platforms. He thought of the years of rebuilding ahead. It was going to be hard. It was going to be painful. But then he thought of the alternative. He thought of a humanity that sat on a leash, fed and watered by the Council, but without a soul. You asked if it was worth it, Noah said softly. You don't understand us, Eris. You think peace means that nobody is fighting. You think safety means that nobody is hurting. We don't see it that way. Noah leaned closer to the camera. We chose the hard road. We chose the right to make our own mistakes. We chose the right to be poor and free, rather than rich and slaves. You see destruction when you look at Earth. But I see something else. I see a people who looked into the abyss and said, no, I see a species that is stronger today than we were yesterday because we fought for our place in the stars. We are not poor, Noah continued. We possess the most valuable thing in the galaxy. We possess our own destiny. And yes, High Speaker, it was worth it. It was worth every ship, and every life. We are not yours to rule. We are humanity. The screen went dark. The transmission ended. In the grand chamber, Eris sat down slowly. The words echoed in his mind. We possess our own destiny. It was a concept that frightened the Council. They spent their long lives trying to control everything, trying to make the universe predictable. But humans were chaos. Humans were unpredictable. And now, humans were dangerous. Close the border, Eris ordered the room. Draw a line around human space. Mark it on every star map. No Council ship is to enter. No trade, no tourism, no contact. Let them have their solitude. Let them be free. Is that wise, High Speaker? A young delegate asked. If we leave them alone, they will only build more weapons. They will come back one day. Eris looked at the empty seat reserved for humanity. Perhaps they will. But that is a problem for the future. Today, we have learned a lesson. We are not the gods of the galaxy, we are just another species trying to survive. And we have woken a sleeping giant. Let them sleep. And let us pray we never have to wake them again. Weeks turned into months. On Earth, the rebuilding began. It was slow work. The sky was filled with construction crews instead of warships. The cities that had been bombed were cleared, and new buildings were designed to be stronger than before. Captain Noah, now promoted to admiral, stood on the surface of the moon. He looked at the blue earth hanging in the black sky. It was beautiful, even with the scars. He was joined by Ambassador Lucas. They stood together in their heavy suits, looking out at the stars. "They are watching us," Lucas said. "I can feel it. The council is sitting on the edge of their chairs, waiting for us to collapse." "Let them wait," Noah said. "We aren't going to collapse. We are going to build something better. We are going to build a society that doesn't need someone else to tell them what to do." "Do you think there will be peace?" Lucas asked. Noah smiled behind his visor. "There will never be true peace in the galaxy, Lucas. There will always be someone who wants to rule. But there will be a peace for us. A peace that we bought with our own blood. We are safe now, not because we are weak, but because we are strong." They turned and walked back toward the base. Behind them, the flag of Earth waved in the vacuum. It was a simple flag, but it represented the most stubborn, the most difficult, and the most dangerous species the Council had ever encountered. Humanity had been offered a golden cage, and they had smashed it to pieces. They were alone in the dark, dangerous universe. But they were free. And for the first time, the galaxy was afraid of them.